Wanjai Marumba, and welcome to part 2 of our video on creativity. We belong to here in a part of Quandamooka country where for thousands of years Indigenous Australians have been creative in the way that they've cared for the environment, creative in the way that they've cared for their families, creative about the way in which they've had ceremonies and rituals, and also creativity in art. And I think that one of the wonderful things about our culture in Australia is that Indigenous Australians are still willing to share their culture with us in creative and new ways. I'd like to also share a beautiful story of creativity with you from Mazenod College in Victoria, from when I was rector there. It's the story of Ethan in Year 7 and his wonderful friends. And I think it's a beautiful story of creativity and of the goodness and the inbuilt kindness of God in them. Ethan was a bright and bubbly, cheeky and extremely popular and loved member of his family and his Mazenod friends. He embraced challenges with a steely determination, and this made him a great role model. Ethan loved basketball most of all and was eagerly hoping to gain selection in the Mazenod basketball team. This proved extremely challenging for Ethan as a result of a degenerative muscular condition. Ethan needed to make use of a wheelchair for his mobility. However, this chair did not get in the way of his love of life and his energy and joy. However, the wheelchair did get in the way of being able to play basketball with his friends. Wheelchair Basketball Australia indicated that it was not possible to have a wheelchair athlete in the same game as able-bodied athletes, as it presented a safety challenge for both athletes, and this was not permitted under either code's rules. And while we understood the logic of this, especially regarding the rapid movements of basketball, the turning, the hazards, it was still a tough message to receive. Ethan could be involved as a scorer, a photographer, a coach, but he wasn't able to play. His friends were not happy at all with this decision, but Ethan accepted it, but I think deep down he was also sad about it too. After a couple of days, his friends came pleading for him to still be able to play, for me to break the rules. I politely listened, but I said I could do nothing, even if I wanted to. And in frustration, I said, "I'm sorry, boys, I just can't make Ethan walk again." And I asked them to go away and think creatively about how Ethan could still be involved. Well, they did go away and pestered and came back a week later at the start of the season to say, "You know what, how you said it was impossible for Ethan to play because you couldn't make him walk?" I said, "Yes, I remember saying that." They said, "Well, if you can't make him walk, what about if we all got into chairs? What about if we all got into chairs? What about if able-bodied basketball became wheelchair basketball? Then Ethan could play." In that moment, it was clear that God was present in their thinking, their creativity and their kindness. And after going through all the obstacle of availability of chairs, agreement from the other schools, getting coaching organised, it eventually came time to let Ethan know that there was a possibility he could play. And after absorbing the enormity of what he was just told by his friends, he said thank you. But in those 2 words, he said it in about 5 different ways at the same time: gratitude, kindness, appreciation. He immediately went from having the least ability in height at able-bodied basketball to the most ability in wheelchair basketball. And he became the coach of how to use the chairs. When the games eventually came about, the smiles on everybody's faces were precious and unique, and Ethan became a Mazenod basketball representative. For the first time in Australian school sport history, the Year 7B basketball comp moved from able-bodied to wheelchair basketball. Before Ethan sadly passed away in Year 10, a few weeks after I arrived here at Iona, he had proudly represented Victoria in basketball and became a great role model of resilience, bravery and kindness. His funeral was extremely sad, but he and his friends had demonstrated creativity in abundance, and he had a firm and sure belief that the God who loved him into existence would love him into eternal life. I know that all of you would have loved Ethan, and as a Mazenod student, he's also in the wider Oblate family that you are also in as well. It's my belief that you will all meet him in eternal life as well. Ethan would go on to represent Victoria in wheelchair basketball, but he would stay long-term in people's hearts. He is an Ionian at heart, even though he went to Mazenod. I hope that story can show you that even in grade 7s who pester and whinge and complain and argue, that even in those year 7s, God worked through a beautiful creative response. How to turn a problem into not only a solution, but a way for someone to be included. Every single one of you has the capacity to find your version of that story, to find a way to include others, to be people of kindness, and that creativity is an absolutely necessary go-to strength in the 21st century. Best wishes, kia kaha, be creative, find a way. Thank you.